I'd like to call the December 2nd Board of Commissioners meeting to order. First order of business is invocation by Ms. Sharon Russell, our interim county manager.
Thank you, Chairman Bright and Commissioners. Good evening. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come before you and conduct the business of Onslow County. Lord, we pray this evening for those elected officials who lead in our community. Give to each one a renewed energy for their lives and for their tasks of leadership. As we enter the holiday season, we pray for all of those who are alone or ill. We pray for those away from their families in service to their country and those who are going through times of stress or difficulty. May all we do this day bring you honor and glory. Now, with deep respect and reverence for the faiths, beliefs, and traditions of those gathered here today, hear us in a moment of silence. Amen.
Our pledge by Assistant Manager, Mr. Ben Warren. Please stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is our organizational meeting, and at this time, I'll turn it over to the interim county manager to preside over the meeting to do the election process for the chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to welcome everyone to the meeting. As the chairman indicated, this is a once-a-year occasion. On the first meeting in December each year, we elect a chairman of the Onslow County Board of Commissioners and a vice chairman. After the chairman is elected, he will preside the meeting. Until that time, we will carry on the vote, and I will preside over the vote of the chairman and the vice chairman. At this time, if each of you would please find your ballot at your desk. Keep in mind that we will first vote on the chairman. You must sign your name to your ballot in order for it to be counted. And as you're doing that, I will read out to everyone listening. We do this election pursuant to North Carolina General Statute, Section 153A-39. And in that statute, it specifies that the Board of Commissioners must, at the first regular meeting in December, choose one of its members as chairman for the ensuing year. The chairman is the presiding officer of the Board of Commissioners. Unless excused by rule of the board, the presiding officer has the duty to vote on any question before the board, but he has no right to break a tie vote in which he participated. Our chairman also has signing authority for items that are approved by the entire board and has a variety of duties during the meeting and leading up to the meeting and agenda preparation. For those of you who are watching from the public, ballots that are taken at this meeting are available for inspection as a public record at the close of the meeting by contacting the clerk. At this time, I'll collect the ballots. Congratulations, Chairman Jack Bright has been elected unanimously by the board to serve as chairman for an additional year. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Thank you to the board for supporting me for this fourth and last year for this term. I'll do my best to represent the board to the best of my ability. I'm humbled and honored that you board members supported me. Item 2 is the election of the vice chairman. Will you?
Yes, sir. North Carolina General Statute, Section 153A-39, also requires you to elect a vice chairman. The vice chairman's duties will be to act in the absence or the disability of the chairman. You have the ballot at your desk. Please ensure that you don't vote for Chairman Jack Bright, of course, for vice chairman. So everyone else is eligible to be vice chairman. Thank you, Board of Commissioners. And Mr. Chairman, we are going to need to vote again. There has to be a majority vote for the vice chairman to be elected. Under the rules of procedure, I will read out how many votes each person received in this first vote. Commissioner Bennett received 3 votes. Commissioner Buchanan received 2 votes. Commissioner Knapp received 2 votes. 4 votes are required to choose a vice chairman. I will pass out a second set of ballots. Mr. Chairman and Board of Commissioners, we do not have a majority. We're going to have to vote again. At this time, I will read out how many votes each candidate for vice chairman received. This time, Commissioner Bennett received 2 votes. Commissioner Buchanan received 3 votes. Commissioner Knapp received 2 votes. I'm going to pass out another selection of ballots. It does take 4, a majority of the board, to elect a vice chairman.
Okay.
Congratulations, we have a new vice chairman. Commissioner Buchanan, you are now vice chairman.
Thank you.
While they're switching seats, there's not a one up here that's not capable of being the chair or the vice chair, and I appreciate the board taking indulgence in voting their conscience and picking the vice chair for this coming year. Congratulations,
Thank you,
Commissioner
sir.
Buchanan.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
And congratulations to all the ones that got votes tonight. All of you are very much deserving. All right, we'll move on now to my remarks. We ask all in attendance to please set your cell phone to silent or vibrate mode. The board offers the public 2 opportunities to speak during the meeting. Comments during the first public comment period should be limited to 3 minutes each and must be directly issue-oriented with the agenda items for this particular meeting. The second public comment period is at the end of the meeting and may be on any issue upon which the Board of Commissioners has control. During the second public comment period, citizens can address the board for up to 5 minutes each. Citizen speakers will be acknowledged in the order in which they are signed up to speak and will address all comments to the board as a whole and not to one individual commissioners. Speakers will address the board from the speaker's podium at the front of the room. and will begin their remarks by stating their name and their address. Discussion between speakers and members of the audience will not be allowed. Public comment is not intended to require the board to answer any impromptu questions. Speakers are expected to be civil in their language and presentation. Any comments where the primary purpose is to promote a business or a candidacy shall not be allowed. In accordance with the board's adopted rules and procedures, commissioners shall reserve responses, if any, for the commissioner comment period on the agenda. I'd like to acknowledge Sheriff Hans Miller for being here tonight. Thank you, Sheriff. I think he's the only elected official, correct? I'm hoping I'm not missing anyone. With no items being considered separately, a motion to adopt the meeting agenda is in order.
So moved.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to adopt the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, ayes. Motion carries. Adoption of the items on the consent agenda. Does any commissioner have anything to remove from the consent agenda for later on at the end of the meeting? Hearing none, I ask for a motion now to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
And a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Item 5 is for public comment to address the board for items that's on the agenda. Do we have anyone signed up?
Mr. Chairman, we do not have anyone signed up for the first public comment period.
Thank you. Now we're on item 6, presentations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. With record-setting weather events from tornadoes and flooding to hurricanes, the Duke Energy Foundation offered a one-time only opportunity for storm resiliency grants. These grants serve to help North Carolina communities increase their resiliency to these major weather events through advanced preparation and planning. All regions in the state of North Carolina that are served by Duke Energy Carolinas or Duke Energy Progress were eligible to apply. Onslow County applied and received $10,000 in grant funds from the Duke Energy Foundation, which will be used to purchase a multi-network communication unit that will not only assist the Swiftwater Rescue Team, but also provide data capabilities throughout the county during emergency response events. In 1999, after Hurricane Floyd's massive impact on North Carolina Emergency Management worked with local communities and counties to develop a new way to do business during disasters. The goal was to provide consistent training and equipment so that rescue teams could aid neighboring jurisdictions during a crisis, regardless of the conditions or terrain. The result was an arsenal of consistently trained, organized search and rescue teams that could be deployed at a moment's notice. Today, there are more than 30 highly trained Swiftwater rescue teams positioned across the state that meet national standards and can be deployed anywhere within North Carolina or across the country. Here in Onslow County, we're fortunate to have a fantastic Swiftwater rescue team. Our team is made up of a multidisciplinary group. We have 5 firefighters, 8 EMS, and 3 folks from the Onslow County Sheriff's Department. During Hurricane Matthew, our Onslow County Swiftwater Rescue Team was deployed to both Duplin and Jones counties and helped save lives in those areas. During Hurricane Florence, they went out on over 200 calls, and rescued more than 400 folks. 2 in particular were civilians and firefighters that were saved during an incident at the Highway 24 and Highway 210 intersection where they could have lost their lives. So we're very thankful tonight to have our Swiftwater Rescue Team, and they are here to accept this wonderful award from Miss Millie Chalk, who is here from Duke Energy Progress. And if those folks would now come to the front and accept this award.
Sure. I'm Millie Chalk with Duke Energy, and just want to thank the partnership we have with the Onslow County government. It's a great partnership from all of our emergency operations. We're in frequent contact with weather reports and what's going on in these events. And this is just a small piece of that commitment that Duke has to strengthen our communities where we not only live but play. So thank you.
Thank you. Next item is 7 general items, public official employee bonds. I guess Mr. McCole, our finance director.
Good evening, Board of Commissioners. The item you have before you is the public officials and employee bonds. North Carolina General Statute 159-29 states that an individual bond is required for an elected officials, a tax collector, a finance officer, such an officer or elected official. The Board of Commissioners is responsible for approval of public officials and employee bonds. Bonds are assigned to positions below. Staff has inquired and no bonds have been impaired and no claims are against any of the listed bonds. The bonds are for the county manager at $200,000, finance officer at $250,000, Onslow County Sheriff at $25,000, the tax administrator / collector at $100,000, the deputy tax collector at $25,000, and the Onslow County Register of Deeds at $50,000. With that said, I respectfully request approval of the public officials and employees' bonds for the positions and the amounts listed.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, sir. I think you have the next one, West Central Elementary.
Yes. Yes, the next thing before you is the project ordinance amendment for West Central Elementary School. It's for an increase in an amount of $7 million. The base bid came in $4.7 million higher than what was budgeted for the project ordinance. And on top of, with that $4.7 million, there was also alternate bid options that the Board of Education had available to them, which increased the project cost by another $2.3 million. What we're getting with that $2.3 million increase with the alternative bids is an increase in student capacity from 600 students to 870 students. Structural reinforcements to handle winds up to 152 miles per hour, and a generator when activated as a shelter. With that said, I respectfully request approval of the West Central Elementary School Capital Project Ordinance Amendment and authorize the chairman to sign on behalf of the county. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Thank you for presenting that, and the reason the price escalated is because of the hurricane damage and recovery and the lack of getting responsible bidders that drove the cost up and the lack of bidders. But we're still hardening the schools that we can use for shelters if we need to because of the structure itself and the idea that there's generation or generator power there to provide for shelter if it's needed. And that school would probably be an ideal location and spot to have a shelter because it's kind of midway. But other than that, any other comments or discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion for moving forward, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, sir. Appointments, Consolidated Human Services, I'll turn that back over to Ms. Russell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. We do have an appointment to consider to the Consolidated Human Services Agency Advisory Committee. On June 10th, 2013, the Board of County Commissioners adopted Resolution 13-010 in order to consolidate the provision of social services and health department functions under county government pursuant to Session Law 2012-126. The 11 members, as established by North Carolina General Statute, Section 130A-35, shall reasonably reflect the population of Onslow County and shall include one physician licensed to practice in North Carolina, one licensed dentist, one licensed optometrist, one licensed veterinarian, one registered nurse, one licensed pharmacist, one Onslow County commissioner, one professional engineer, and 3 additional seats. Mr. Anthony Medlin in the pharmacist category and Dr. Ishwar Kopachand in the physician category, and Reverend Joel Churchwell in a general seat, the first general seat, have expressed a willingness for reappointment and have submitted citizen participation applications for consideration. No other individuals have expressed an interest in serving at this time. The applications are on file and have been certified by the clerk's office. We respectfully request that the Board of Commissioners consider the reappointment of Mr. Anthony Medlin, pharmacist, Dr. Ishwar Kopachand, physician, and Reverend Joel Churchwell for General Seat 1 for a 3-year term expiring on November 18th, 2022. It is also requested that the Board approve a residency waiver for Mr. Anthony Medlin.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you. We had new items moved to the consent agenda. Now we're at item 10, which is public comment. Everyone signed up?
Yes, we do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the second public comment period. In accordance with the board's adopted rules of procedure, commissioners shall reserve responses, if any, for the commissioner comment period on the agenda. Comments may be on any issue upon which the Board of Commissioners has control. During the second public comment period, citizens can address the board for up to 5 minutes each. And our first citizen that we will call to the microphone is Mr. Matt Deschamps. Please state your address and your name before you begin.
Good evening, Board of Commissioners. Matt Deschamps, 149 Pamlico Drive, Holly Ridge, North Carolina. I'm the president of the Corman Memorial Foundation. I spoke the commissioners probably about 7 years ago, and I want to give you a quick update and a thank you for your support. The quick update is that we've raised over $400,000 starting in 2008, and we finished raising that funds around 2017, early 2018. With that support, our sculpturist, Abby Godwin, who did the Beirut Memorial, that sculpture is now at the Foundry. At this point in time, we're waiting on the base gifting process to go up to the Undersecretary of the Navy and to allow us to start building at the Lejeune Memorial Gardens. But with that said, Board of Commissioners, I have a plaque that I'd like to present the Board of Commissioners for your support over the last 11 years. And it says, "Thank you for your generous support, Onslow County Board of Commissioners, July 2017, which the date is when we achieved that $400,000 mark. So thank you again from the Corman Memorial Foundation. We truly appreciate it."
Chairman's coming.
I'm sorry, Chairman Bright's going to come down and accept that. Thank you so much.
Mike now.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Thank you again.
We didn't have a laid out plan for this, but thank you for presenting this to the board. And it's a pleasure to have Corman's Memorial going out to the Memorial Garden. And what a tribute it is to get $400,000 raised to build it.
Yes, sir.
And it's a tribute to the garden, and it's a tribute to our military service. So thank you so much. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, we have one additional citizen who would like to speak during the second public comment period. I call up to the microphone Mike Plennis, and if you would state your name and your address before you begin.
Mike Plinus, 109 Melody Lane, Jacksonville. I want to thank you, Commissioners, for allowing me to speak this evening. And I come before you somewhat perplexed this evening because I believe that the people of Onslow County have the right to know that their interests are being represented by and that their business is being conducted in the light of truth. And it was quite the revelation for me at the last meeting of this commission when I learned from the council that you can't impose restrictions or requirements for speaking the truth during public hearings because there wasn't a law that said you could. Now, I was of the opinion, and I've always been of the opinion, that we live in a nation ruled by law, which actually means that you can do just about anything you want to until there's a law that says you can't. So when I heard that, I went off in pursuit of trying to figure out whether that was true or not. And I, in my perusal of the state statutes, I came across one that I thought was rather interesting, and it's under the Chapter 11 for oaths. And it's Article 1, and it's number 11-1. And if you don't mind, I'm going to read it to you, because I think it is really telling. Whereas lawful oaths for discovery of truth and establishing right are necessary and highly conducive to the important end of good government, and being most solemn appeals to Almighty God as the omniscient witness of truth and the just and omnipotent avenger of falsehood, and whereas lawful affirmations for the discovery of truth and establishing right are necessary and highly conducive to the important end of good government, therefore such oaths and affirmations ought to be taken and administered with the utmost solemnity. Now, I believe that with every fiber in my body. But what perplexes me is why there is such resistance in Onslow County from the Board of Education and the school administration system, who do not even think they have to tell the truth, as evidenced by the fact that in this article, in this newspaper in 2014, Susie Ulbrich, the spokesman for the administration, boldly proclaimed in this publication that it's a free country and people have the right to say what they want in a public hearing, irregardless of whether or not it's the truth. Now, the fact of the matter is, seeking decisions from the Board of Commissioners is the same as seeking any other benefit from the government. You know, when we come before you as an entity or individual, and we want you to make a decision, it's on behalf of somebody or something tangible that there's a benefit to be received from what people give you as information to make your decisions on. Now, when I heard that you couldn't do that because there wasn't a law that said you could, I didn't know what I was going to do until I read further down that list and got to 11-9, which is the administration by certain officers, which states, the chairman of the Board of County Commissioners and the chairman of the Board of Education of the several counties may administer oaths in any matter or hearing before their respective boards. So, according to the statutes, there is absolutely no reason why you can't expect and, in fact, demand that people coming before you speak the truth. I'm not talking about errors, about people's opinions. People are entitled to their opinions. What they're not entitled to is their own set of facts. They're just not. So when they come in before you and want you to make up your mind to do this or do that or do that or plead their case, they should not be allowed to make up to blatantly falsify material evidence and facts that's coming before you that they want you to decide about. I mean, that's all I'm really asking for here, and I just don't understand why it is that there is such resistance to the concept of telling the truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Brett, will you speak to that somewhat?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
we
Mr.
try to get the truth from everybody that comes up here, and we hope that everybody speaks the truth. But our decisions a lot of times is not made on a lot of times about what facts that people preside or present to us. We look at the facts that's presented by staff and what we know already on our own. But I don't want to infringe on anybody's First Amendment right to come up here and speak. And can you speak to that and what the Institute of Government has told you about that, or?
Yes, sir. When this was brought to my attention months ago, I researched the statutes, and there are three different types of or opportunities for people to come talk. There are public hearings, public comments, and then there's also quasi-judicial hearings that are before this board. And in those quasi-judicial hearings, that's when you actually have sworn testimony, and you have the ability to cross-examine, things of that nature. And in those hearings, the statute that was cited, 11-9, is when the chairman would be authorized to administer those oaths. The only statute that talks about a public hearing, as opposed to those quasi-judicial matters, is 153A-52. It allows the board to adopt reasonable rules governing the conduct of public hearings, including rules that fix the maximum amount of time allotted for the speaker, providing for the designation of a spokesman if a bunch of people agree with the same premise, providing for a selection of delegates from groups or persons supporting or opposing the same positions, and providing for the maintenance of order and decorum in the conduct of the hearing. Notably missing is any ability to give an oath during a public hearing. The publications from the School of Government indicate that, of course, these public hearings are First Amendment opportunities to exercise their First Amendment right, and they're very cautious about infringing upon that right. And so talking with the School of Government, in particular Freda Bluestein, who's really the head honcho there, she is of the opinion, which I agree, that you wouldn't want to create any impediment for someone to come testify or to come speak to you in a public hearing setting. So it's for that reason, which is why I recommended at the last meeting, and I still stand by the position, which is supported by the School of Government, that at a public hearing, as opposed to a quasi-judicial hearing, if you were to require an oath to be taken, it could be infringing upon the individual's First Amendment right. So the safe spot here is just to listen to whatever anybody has to say and then investigate what they have to say. In other words, it's incumbent upon this board to make sure that the people who give you information, that you don't accept that as fact. You go out and research your own and make your decisions based on your own research.
Brett, what about an in-between step of having a notation at the bottom that the information that you're providing is truth to the best of your knowledge? To the best of my knowledge, that the following information that I'm providing is accurate to the best of my knowledge. That's not swearing them in, but it's affirming that you're telling the truth.
Right, and if it's not swearing it in, there would be no teeth behind it. In other words, it's not in front of a notary or sworn on the Bible or affirmed, but you can certainly put on the sheet. I feel there's no problem with that, in saying that when you come to give your opinions or state facts, the board expects that you do so in good faith and that you believe it to be the truth.
So it could be done, that we could do that step, is what you're saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think that would be fine to put in there, that the board's expectation for anyone who speaks is that they speak the truth and they give the facts as they know them to be.
But let me just interject something, but I don't think you can use the word affirm, because when I gave oaths in my law enforcement career, you either swear or affirm.
That's right.
So you need to take the affirm out of there, because people misrepresent that as an oath. Because technically it is an oath for non-God-believing Christians who don't believe in it, they don't believe in our God or whoever God it is, and they say, I affirm.
That's right, and that's the affirmation you're speaking of is done by notary public or by judge or by clerk. This would be, the way I understand it from Commissioner Price, just a statement on the sign-in sheet that just requests that everybody tell the truth as they know it to be. But there would be no actual affirmation swearing. The chairman wouldn't conduct that affirmation or swearing in. That's up to the board. You know, the further we go to, putting requirements of people who want to speak, I think the more we infringe or get closer to the line of the First Amendment, and that's just what we need to be cautious about.
Well, I'm a little confused, because if we start to do that, we're not a judicial or law enforcement entity. So we're treading serious ground here if we start doing that, in my opinion. Now, I understand exactly where you're coming from, Mr. Plantis, and I agree with you. But you can't sit there and have somebody come in here and affirm them or swear them to a statement that what they're going to tell you is the truth, because now we've just escalated our role into a different direction. Okay? Like when I swore people to their statements or their affidavits, it was under a particular instruction because of the badge that I carried and whatever. And I'm sure the sheriff can attest to that under North Carolina general statute. You swear somebody to, but even when you swear somebody to a statement, you don't take that as gospel. You have to corroborate their statement, with additional evidence and et cetera. So I'm a little uncomfortable with trying to put that on a piece of paper here, when you say affirm or whatever, because now you're really moving into a different level. Now we've gone from a county entity, a government entity, into a judicial/law enforcement entity, and we're going to blur the lines. But I agree with you 100%, Mr. Plantis. That people should be truthful. But unfortunately, unless we change the statute for us, I don't think that would be something that we'd want to approach. Just my opinion.
In the language itself, if you read the statute, it says the chairman may.
Right.
Right.
That tells you a whole lot right there.
Well, in the statute that
It doesn't
was
say
cited-
will, it says may. And it
Right.
doesn't say shall, it says may. That's a terminology in that
Right.
document. So I just,
Yeah, I mean, I think I think the idea would be to allow people to come in and speak, and this board needs to investigate what anybody says to you before making a decision. And of course, we hope people come in here and tell the truth.
do that anyway. I mean, we do that all the time.
That's right.
And I tell you, from this board, I tell you right now, if somebody comes in here and starts giving us fluff or says something that we think is suspicious or whatever, I mean, majority of us are cops. Retired cops. We're not just going to take their word for it. We're going to do some digging. We're going to do some research. You come in here and say, "Hey, look at the moon. There's a man on the moon," or something like that. We're not going to take your word for it. We're going to do the research. So I take great pride being in this position as a commissioner, that the people elected me to trust my wisdom and to trust the wisdom of my fellow board members to thoroughly research some things and get to the bottom of it before we believe something is either myth or fiction. But beside all that, I still have a point, getting back to what I said. I feel really uncomfortable. I want to make sure that we don't take our board in the wrong direction, because I do not want us to be looked at as a judicial entity when we're not. Because some people can misconstrue that if we take extreme measures in that direction. That's just my opinion, though.
Anybody else? I got one question. If we have a choice of making an error on the side of doing it or not doing it, civilly, we would be more protected by not doing it than we would be to do it.
Absolutely. The way we do it now is what my preference would be is
I understand that we can do it. If we see a need to do an oath, but I wouldn't do it anyway without the permission of the board, because I don't make decisions for the board. The board, we make decisions as a whole for the board, not just one individual commissioner. So I'd rather err on the side of not doing it than I would on doing it, but I'm like some comments that's already been made. If somebody comes up here and we get information we know that's probably in question, we're gonna get the information for that before we make a vote and vote on that. I'm not gonna vote on something that becomes questionable up here. I'd rather table it and come back to it. But I understand Mike's position also about people telling the truth, and it happens all the time. We have people come up here at public comment time and not even give us their correct address. And sometimes we don't know if they give us their correct name either, but that's part of First Amendment freedom of speech, you know. Okay, I think we'll move on now to Ms. Sharon Russell, manager's comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I do have a few things I'd like to share. First of all, I'd like to congratulate one of our nurses, Whitney Jezik. She received the Diabetes Advisory Council Healthcare Provider Award, and that was for her tireless work in diabetes prevention, self-management, and education. So a great thing for her. I'd also like to recognize Ms. Sandra Jansen out at the airport. She recently earned her certified member designation from the American Association of Airport Executives. This program is extensive. To earn this, you have to pass a 180-question exam, and certified member is the first step to earning full accreditation. She's actually the third person out at OAJ that has completed the program. We have a great professional staff out at the airport. I would encourage everyone, if you haven't scheduled your holiday travel, make sure you check our Onslow County Airport, Albert Ellis Airport, when you are making your reservations, and we support our airport. Also out at the airport in November, a new middle school student art exhibit from our Onslow County schools titled Innovation was unveiled in the security checkpoint area. Also in November, we have a new exhibit by the Jacksonville-Onslow Council of the Arts that opened in the baggage claim area. It features vintage suitcases. And the holiday concert series is beginning next week at the airport. It runs through December 20th. 9 performances by students from Onslow County schools, ranging from elementary through high school. We'll be out there bringing some extra cheer to travelers. We do have the concert dates and times on the airport's Facebook page if you'd like to go out and hear some of that wonderful stuff. And the last thing I would say is when you're doing your holiday shopping, remember to use our Onslow County businesses. Let's keep our money here at home. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on now to commissioner comments, and I will start with Commissioner Bennett. Thank you for your service for the last couple of years as vice chairman. You did a good job. If you folks don't know Royce, he's at every goat crossing that there is. So, so if you know about an event going on, he's there. So
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can
go
see
ahead and open up the comment.
I can see the immediate advantage of sitting down here. I don't have to worry about repeating what everybody else says.
You get to go first.
That's right. You get to go first. So, yeah, I want to thank my colleagues for allowing me to serve as vice chairman last year, and it was an honor to serve, and will continue to serve the citizens of Onslow County to the best of my ability in the future. I also wanted to thank Mr. Plinus. I appreciate your comments. I agree that we don't need people that don't tell us the truth, but I think that we have to judge the truth in each situation that we're in, and we have to do that without infringing on the First Amendment rights of the people who come in here to speak. And we will do our very best to do that, I assure you. I want to thank Holly Ridge, the mayor, and some of the council who I attended their Christmas tree lighting ceremony last week. It was a pleasure, a lot of fun. And also the Chamber of Commerce, congratulate them for the Christmas parade, which was, or holiday parade, excuse me, which was, I think it was the best attended that I've been to in many years. There were just lots and lots of people there, and it was a lot of fun. So we thank you for that, and I hope everybody has a safe evening. Thank you.
Commissioner Tim Foster.
Appreciate your work last year, Commissioner Bennett. Mr. Plinus, appreciate you coming out. It's always great for the public to come out and voice concerns and things they want to share. I think more people should be a part of doing that. Congratulations to Dixon High School for winning the 2A Boys State Soccer Championship, bringing another title back to Onslow County. And 3 items that I thought were very big in tonight's meeting were education, where there's a second elementary school looking to come online, emergency services receiving a grant for their SWIFT water rescue team, and then finally, our memorial money being raised for the Corman Memorial. Those are 3 things that let you know that Onslow County is a great place, that we're taking care of education, we're taking care of public safety, and we acknowledge the importance of the United States military and the service members that take care of us across this world. So my hat's off to that, and we appreciate everybody coming out here. And one of those SWIFT water rescue team members, I saw him the other night at the business eating. Took me a minute to recognize him because I've been in education for 28 and a half years now. And shout out to Tyree Fisher, a part of that, and working here in Onslow County after graduating Onslow County schools. And I feel sure there's a lot of men and women that are in Onslow County that are products. And congratulations, Parks and Rec. There was a lot of campers at Onslow Pines Park a week or so ago. Congratulations.
Thank you. Commissioner Knapp?
Just a couple of things. First and foremost, I want to say congratulations to Paul Buchanan as vice chair and to Jack. You're looking at a bunch of years of experience sitting right here next to me on my right. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate the talks that we've had and being able to pick up the phone and call them and share some ideas. So I'm ecstatic for both of them. And I think they're going to guide the board and continue to guide the board in the right direction, the right conservative direction that we need. And I really appreciate everything, and congratulations.
Thank you.
I had to get together with EMS staff, thanks to our county manager, or interim county manager, Sharon Russell, where they just sat around and we just talked. We talked about things. Sherry Slater was there as well, and we were pretty honest with each other. We were pretty blunt, and that's the way I like it. And it was very eye-opening. It was very encouraging, and I think we need to start doing more of that as commissioners, to get on that level and talk to people and listen to your complaints, and don't feel like you're afraid to say something, because you're a county employee here too. Your voice means something, absolutely. And if you fear, reprisal for that, then, well, we'll have to adjust our schedule and find out why you feel reprisal is going to come your way for speaking the truth. That's what we want to hear. At least that's what I want to hear. If you don't like something, speak it, and speak it loudly. And Sherry knows that. And so I just want to say it was a great time with these people. It was great just rubbing elbows with them and just talking one-on-one. And I hope to do this some more. But thank you, Sharon. Let's see, the other thing I wanted to talk about, Mr. Plentis, I appreciate you coming up here today. I really do. I heard everything you said, and I listened to what you said, and I agree with you. But there's some other things that we have to consider, like I pointed out earlier, that we have to be very careful as the entity that we are, as a board of commissioners, that we don't go into the judiciary type of direction, okay? Because that's going to cause some legal ramifications. And I'm sure the sheriff can tell you that too. You got to be very, very careful when you're talking about giving oaths. Like law enforcement and court officials and stuff like that, they can give oaths. Judges, attorneys, okay, we understand that. But they're classified at a different level, and we're not classified as judicial officers or any type of court for that matter. We're a government entity, which is totally different. So those are the things that concern me, but doesn't mean I don't agree with you. I appreciate you coming up here and saying what you had to say. And last but not least, I do want to say something one more time, because I've been impressed, and I'm gonna tout our horn, is Ms. Sharon Russell, is our interim county manager. Those updates that you provide are awesome. Am I right? They are awesome. I look forward to reading your updates. We never had somebody sit down and detail, line by line, what's coming up, what they did, how they did it, why they did it, and where we're going. And your updates have been nothing but fantastic, and I mean that sincerely. You're doing a heck of a job as the interim county manager, and I really look forward to reading your updates, because it keeps me, because we get tied up in our busy schedules, and I can read this lengthy email, but I read it with curiosity, and I'm interested, and I just want to say thank you very much for what you're doing at that particular level. It's been really refreshing. Other than that, This is our last meeting before Christmas, isn't it?
Nope, go one more.
Then I won't wish you, no. I thought it was, but thank you for coming. I do hope you all have a very Merry Christmas and that you have a prosperous holiday, and we'll say it again at the next meeting, but thank you very much.
Commissioner Price.
I'd like to echo the congratulations to the Dixon High School boys soccer team for their state championship. It takes a lot to get to that final journey, and so that's a great accomplishment for the Dixon community and for that school and those kids. Also, I enjoyed riding in the Christmas parade, the Jacksonville Christmas parade, a couple of week or so ago, so that was good. Also appreciate Mr. Plinus coming forward and talking about the truth. We all should be concerned about the truth. You have to fill out a lot of forms for bureaucrats that require me to tell the truth too. Maybe there's some way we can fashion a statement. I don't know, Brett, you know more about this than I do, but maybe there's some way we can fashion a statement that says you have to tell the truth in a public hearing. Just like I have to tell the truth on all these forms I have to fill out for bureaucrats. If they can require the truth of me, I think I should expect the truth from people whenever they present information that's relevant to a decision-making process for a county commissioner. I hope you take a look at that and see what we can come up with. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Commissioner Shanahan.
So I'm excited about the approval of the West Central Elementary Capital Project Ordinance. That's a mouthful. But what it means is we get a new school. And this board has worked hard and been committed to making sure that we do build new schools and increase our capacity for students, because that number is going up. I mean, we every year are seeing more and more children in our schools, which is a good thing, but it's also a responsibility that we have to meet head on. So this is a sign of our dedication to meeting that challenge. It's also a sign of, I believe, an increasingly cooperative relationship with our Board of Education, which is so important for the citizens that we work together and communicate effectively. And I just want to thank Dr. Collins, who's here, superintendent from the Board of Education. He comes to all of our meetings, and he's been really great to work with. And I look forward to us continuing to have a productive relationship with the Board of Education. I also want to just mention the 3 members that we reappointed to the Consolidated Human Services Advisory Board. We have a number of advisory boards related to our county functions, and these boards are incredibly important. We need this participation. I sit on this particular board as the commissioner representative, and so I work with all 3 of these individuals and see the time and work that they put into helping make us better and make us better for our citizens. And so if that seems like something that you would be interested in, there are always needs for people to participate and be involved on that level. And so I would encourage people to reach out and see where they could help. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Vice Chairman Buchanan.
Thank you. Mike, thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate it. We've talked 2 or 3 times in the past, and I just can't go along what you're trying to do, so I'll pass on that. Our Swiftwater team, I want to thank the sheriff and Norm and all the people that are aboard that team and the money that they received tonight that's going to help them out. I used to belong to the dive team, and the sheriff has a dive team now. I used to belong to the police department's dive team, and most of the time with dive teams, it's search and recovery. With the Swiftwater, it's saving lives, and it's a great piece to me to know that we have the people out there to do that. The corpsmen, I don't know what to say. I can say a lot. I'm a Vietnam vet, and the corpsmen did a lot for us in Vietnam, and I know they have over the years. Without them, we can't survive in country. So for those of us Vietnam vets, thank you. Today we had the first joint task force meeting with the city-county task force. I won't go into any details on it because we're still working on that. But myself, Mike Lazar, Tim Foster, and Bob Warden, along with the 2 managers with Richard Woodruff and Sharon Russell, we met today and we're got great strides and we have a lot to do, but it's going to be a great asset to the citizens of Onslow County and our children. So that's one of the things. I want to thank everybody for being here.
Thank you, sir. Congratulations,
Thank you for that too,
Commissioner
sir.
Buchanan, for being selected for vice chair. I know you'll do a good job. You've been there before and done that. Paul and I are the oldest rats in the barn. So we here, looks like we're here to stay for another year, at least. I've got 2 items of history for you history buffs tonight. And I know we only have a few people in the audience, but I'm sure there's a lot of people listening. First of all, I forgot to mention when we appointed interim county manager Sharon Russell as our interim county manager. She is actually the first female that's ever held that position of interim county manager. And we don't know what the future is going to bring, but my hat's off to her for having the ability and the credentials to step up to the plate. And there's a lot been said about your accomplishments, and like I don't think there's anyone up here that don't really appreciate what you do. Thank you. The second item of history is last night I had the occasion to be present at a private ceremony where Judge Sarah Seaton, a district court judge, was promoted and sworn in as the first female chief district court judge, and she's also the first female to ever sit on and be sworn in as a judge for 4th Judicial District for Onslow, Jones, Duplin, and Sampson County. So that's the first also. So my hat's off to Ms. Russell, and my hat's off to Sarah Seaton. And I tried to get her to come here tonight, but she's so bashful she wouldn't come. So I said it anyway. Go out. Mike, thank you for being here tonight. Appreciate you being here, sir. My congratulations to the Corman organization for working hard and diligently to get that memorial in place over at the Memorial Gardens on Camp Lejeune. And I want to thank Millie Kalk for giving us the contribution for the Swiftwater rescue. We spent a lot of money tonight, but it's good to have somebody bring us a check once in a while. So anyway, my hat's off to everyone up here tonight. I can't say enough about appointing me again for my 4th year as a chairman. And of course, our term ends end of December next year. So it's quite an honor to be in this position as chairman for whole 4 years. And I've said it many times, the board don't work for me, I work for the board. So I try to make sure that I keep everybody abreast about all the issues. And when you call or when I call you, I try to give you all the information that's coming up so we can make good decisions, and gives you time to research everything you need to research. So I appreciate your support, appreciate your vote. Have a safe trip home tonight, and we'll be back December 16th for our last meeting.
I knew that. I was just testing, I knew that.
Might be a good,
Merry Christmas anyway, I'm going to say it then too, so.
might be a pie in the sky, moon pie night.
Oh, and moon pies are coming back next meeting. We all deserve them.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Oh, one other thing. We got to stay for photographs.
Oh, yes.